Hey, this is Chris. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to Popcorn Finance, the show where we discuss finance in about the time it takes to make a bag of popcorn. It's really exciting to be recording the first episode of 2022 for you all. And as many of you may remember, unless this is the first episode you're listening to, last week we closed out the year with Berna and Nat, one of my favorite guests, and we talked about our 2021 failed goals. And I like doing this because it's just fun talking about the stuff that we didn't actually accomplish, just to be real. Let everyone know, hey, look, we all fail to meet these goals that we set at the start of the year. But hey, that's life. That's what's going to happen. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't set goals. I think setting goals is still a nice practice to have. And so for 2022, I wanted to give you a list of some unique goals that I thought of to maybe go, against the beaten path of what we typically do when we set our goals. And so to kick things off, I want to start off with this first goal, and it's talk about money more with friends. Way back, almost 2 years ago now, in episode 169, I talked with anonymous blogger Purple about the story of her discussing pay with her coworkers, and it's kind of started the small revolution to where everyone started kind of sharing their pay around and realized how underpaid some of these individuals were. And I think this just illustrates the power that comes in talking about money openly with other people, specifically our friends or people that we can at least trust, because we all have our own stigma and pain and issues with money that cause us to kind of close up and make money a very taboo subject. But there's so much that can be gained and learned from talking about money openly with other people in your lives. And so that's why for the first goal, I want to encourage you all to talk with your friends. Even if it's just one friend, find one person, someone you trust, someone you can talk with openly, and just kind of approach it. You can do it casually. You don't have to just start throwing out all your personal information to this person, but just say something like, hey, I'm thinking about applying for a new job because I really want to raise and I feel like I'm being underpaid. What do you think? And kind of throw that little piece of bait out there. I like approaching these conversations very, subtly. Not overwhelming the person, not scaring them away, but kind of throwing a little bait out there. If they take it and they're like, oh yeah, they're really interested in talking about this. Now you got someone that you could potentially build this relationship up for both of you becoming more comfortable talking about money. And I think only great things can come from having these very open, honest, not judgmental conversations about money. So that's number one. Goal number two. I have to give credit to past guest and good friend Rich Jones, who's the host of the Mental Wealth Show, which was formerly known as Paychecks and Balances. And this goal is all about getting prepared for your annual review. And I'm horrible at this. I work a day job, and every year I have an annual review. I know it's going to happen. And this is the time when you come in, you're supposed to be putting your best foot forward and getting, doing the best you can to get the largest raise possible. And winging it is not a great option. And this is what Rich suggests. And this is what I want to put on your radar for a goal to set. And he said, in order to prepare for this annual review, what he does is he opens up a Google Doc, just a blank document. And in there, he tracks all of his accomplishments over the course of the year. So if you haven't done this already, open up one now, write down what you can remember, but then also start keeping track, because most of us our reviews not on the first of the month, on the first month of the year. So you may have a little bit of time. So start writing these things down. So projects you've completed, compliments you've gotten. You want to keep a list of things that you can then present to your boss and use to make a great argument for getting a big raise in 2022. So that's goal number two. After a quick break, we're going to hop back into some more things I think you might want to put on your 2022 goals list. So this episode has been all about setting new goals for 2022. And the first goal I mentioned was talking about money more with friends. But if you feel like you don't have someone you can talk to about money right now, come talk to me and Allison over on This Is Awkward. This is a podcast where we talk about your awkward money situations and help you get through it without losing your friends and family along the way. And we've covered some great topics already, like this one here.
I know it's become more commonly accessible to discuss finances openly for things like pay, but recently I had a friend who asked how much I make. My go-to response has always been, oh, I make enough, or I'm comfortable. I keep it vague because I don't want others to feel like crap if they make less, or expose myself to be taken advantage of financially. Normally, people kind of take the hint that I don't want to discuss this and back off. Not this friend. This friend pushed back and said, I didn't ask if you were comfortable. I asked for a number.
So wherever you're listening to this podcast right now, go in, search for This Is Awkward, or go to awkwardpodcast.com to join us and leave us your awkward money story so we can help you get through it in 2022. All right, the next goal I have on my list is to invest. And I know you're like, Chris, I thought you said these are going to be unique goals. And yes, I did say that these are going to be different, but I could not possibly do this episode without talking about investing. I hope if you've been listening to this podcast, I've already encouraged you to get out there and start investing. But if not, this is just your annual reminder that you should be investing. Way back in episode 197, I did this episode entitled How Investing Fights Off Inflation. And in there, I gave this illustration of what would happen to your money if you saved it in a savings account versus if you invested it. And I just want to share that with you again, just as a reminder. Okay. So in this example, I had used 2%, which at the time was a possible interest rate. It's about 4 times smaller than that now. You're probably getting somewhere around 0.5, maybe 0.6 if you're lucky, if you're putting your money in a high yield savings account at an online bank. These examples are going to be higher than they would be right now, but this just illustrates it even more. Just know that you'd be getting even less money if you were to save your money right now. So if you were to put $100 into a savings account earning 2% interest, after 1 year, you'd have $102. After 10 years, it would grow to $122. After 20 years, it would reach $149. And after 30 years, you'd have $181, which is nice. That's more money than you put in. When you were getting 2% interest, it was keeping pace with inflation, which at the time was around 2%. And now it's, pushing 5-6%. So, just keep all this in mind. This scenario worked when I wrote it out. All right. But now let's compare that to if you were to invest this money. All right. I use 7% as a conservative investment return. That's based off of the fact that, the average return is somewhere around 10%. And if you adjust that for average inflation, we're gonna exclude the weirdness that's going on with inflation right now. If you take out average inflation of around 2 to 3%, that's where I come up with the 7% number. So after 1 year, you would have $107. After 10 years, that $100 would have grown to $197, which is already more than you'd have if you put it into a savings account earning 2% for 30 years. So just think about that. In 10 years, you've already outdone what saving money in a savings account does in 30 years. After 20 years, you'd have $387. And after 30 years, you'd have $761. So $100 to $761, and you did nothing but invest your money. And that's the importance of this. This is why I wanted to add this to the goals list. So if you're not investing, if it's not a part of your life, make sure you do this, because investing is one of the best tools we have available in order to make sure that we reach our goals, that we can retire at some point, because I think that's what we all ultimately want. So investing, that's the third goal here. And the last and final goal I'll leave to you for this episode here is to create a guilt-free savings account. And so what this is a separate savings account where you just put money into. It could be any amount you want. It could be $5. It could be $50. Whatever extra money you have to work with, put this over in a separate savings account. And the point of this savings account is to have money that you can spend on whatever you want. No questions asked, no guilt, no regret, because we build up these emotions and feelings about our spending. And we oftentimes shame ourselves if we spend money that we think we shouldn't. And the reason why I like building this guilt-free savings account is that it can strip that away, because you're saying right off the bat, the money I put into this account, this is solely for me to enjoy. I'm not going to do anything else with this money. I'm just going to enjoy it. And the hope is that by doing this, when you buy those shoes or go to a show, when we can actually go do that again, or go on a trip, whatever it is that you enjoy, going out to eat, whatever brings you happiness, you're able to do that without the regret and shame that we throw on ourselves because maybe we've spent money that was meant for something else, or we feel like we did something we shouldn't. So that's the last goal I want to leave you with. Create this guilt-free savings account and give yourself permission to spend with joy and without the shame that sometimes can come with that. So I hope one of these goals that I've given you today is helpful. It's maybe something that you want to add to your list. And if there's any goals that I haven't mentioned that you think might be unique and you want to have other people give it a try, leave me a message. You can go over to Instagram. You can find me at Popcorn Finance Podcast, and you can just send me a message there, or you can send me an email at questions@popcornfinance.com. And lastly, before we get out of here, I want to give a shout out to this week's Kernel. It's based off of a review that we received over on Apple Podcasts. This one came from Abby Work, and Abby wrote, quick and informative, but somehow still in-depth information. It's plainly spoken financial information and advice. So thank you so much for the very kind words there, Abby. You can be like Abby. Go to Apple Podcasts. You can leave Popcorn Finance a review there, or you can actually now go on Spotify and leave us a rating. So leave Popcorn Finance 5 stars over on Spotify. As always, I appreciate you joining me here for yet another bag of popcorn, the first bag of popcorn of 2022. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, boy, keep it poppin' like Mary Poppins.